They thought silence would protect them. But silence couldn't stop the look in those eyes, or the word that cut deeper than any blade. One moment life felt normal, and the next it was torn open by a cruel truth society still dares to hide. A heart full of hope was cornered, shamed, and scarred, not for what it had done, but for what it was. Yet what rose from that pain would shock everyone, because in a place where hatred lived and thrived, something unexpected began to fight back. When love collides with racism, who really walks away unbroken? The story begins in a small town where differences were noticed long before they were spoken aloud. Faces seemed familiar, traditions felt fixed, and unspoken rules quietly divided who belonged and who did not. Amira had lived here almost her entire life. Her parents had moved when she was 5, carrying dreams heavier than their suitcases. Her father worked long hours at the hospital, his hands steady as they stitched wounds and calmed emergencies. Her mother taught part-time at the library, surrounding herself with books, as if words were safer companions than people. For Amira, school was supposed to be her gateway, the place where she could bridge the world her parents carried from home with the one she faced every morning when she walked past rows of neat houses. She wasn't shy, but she wasn't loud either. She existed in that in-between space, where invisibility was sometimes a shield, a prison. From a young age, she loved painting. Her canvases were filled with skies wider than the town's limits, and oceans she had only ever seen in books. Art was her language of hope. Teachers praised her, friends admired her quiet focus, but there was always a sense, small at first, then growing, that she wasn't seen for her, only for what she represented. When class projects came, she was asked to explain her culture. When history lessons turned toward lands far away, eyes would find her, expecting her to be the spokesperson. It was subtle at first, the kind of weight that doesn't crush, but wears you down. She smiled through it, because smiling seemed safer than resistance. Her closest friend, Lily, never made her feel different, just human. They met in middle school, bonding over exhaustion from endless assignments and an equal obsession with sketching. Lily's laughter was quick and careless, the kind that filled hallways, but not everyone saw her that way. By high school, whispers sharpened. The cafeteria became a place of quiet wars, where seating itself was a declaration of belonging. Amira found herself pushed to the margins, jokes disguised as curiosity, questions laced with judgment. A cold stare that lingered too long. Still, she excelled. Her art won awards, her essays earned recognition, and teachers nodded proudly when her name was called. But with each spotlight, the shadows of resentment grew. The more she rose, the more some felt she shouldn't. Her parents urged her to stay focused. "Education is the key," her father repeated. They knew prejudice existed, in whispers at the grocery store, in landlords who hesitated before renting, in the way strangers looked too long. But they believed perseverance could soften hostility. And for a while, Amira believed it too. The turning point began quietly. She walked into class one morning to find her locker scribbled with ugly words, designed to make her shrink. She froze, throat tight as students passed, pretending not to see. Lily rushed over, anger blazing, but Amira shook her head. "It's fine," she whispered, though it wasn't. She scrubbed the locker until the words blurred into smudges. She didn't tell a teacher. She buried it, believing silence would prevent escalation. But silence only taught them she could be targeted without consequence. Weeks later, the shift grew obvious. Her name twisted into mockery. Her achievements are questioned. Her suggestions were ignored until repeated by someone else. Vague social media posts are sharp enough to wound. A pattern was forming, one she could no longer deny. The gymnasium lights buzzed overhead as the curtain drew back, revealing the mural Amira had poured months of her soul into. A blaze of color towered above the stage, faces of different shades interwoven in harmony, hands reaching upward toward a shared sky. Bold, hopeful, and unlike the muted expectations of a small town that had never truly claimed her as its own. For a breathless moment, silence filled the gym. The audience stared, stunned. Amira's chest tightened. Had she done it? Had she broken through the doubt and whispers? The gymnasium lights buzzed overhead as the curtain drew back, revealing the mural Amira had poured months of her soul into. A blaze of color towered above the stage. Faces of different shades interwoven in harmony, hands reaching upward toward a shared sky. Bold, hopeful, and unlike the muted expectations of a small town that had never truly claimed her as its own. For a breathless moment, silence filled the gym. The audience stared, stunned. Amira's chest tightened. Had she done it? Had she broken through the doubt and whispers? One morning, flyers littered the hallway, photocopies of her mural, crudely altered. Instead of faces of unity, someone had scribbled over them with hateful caricatures and slurs. Students laughed as they passed. Some shook their heads in quiet discomfort but said nothing. The hallway felt endless as she gathered the defaced pages, her fingers trembling. Lily stormed into the principal's office, demanding action. But the meeting ended hollow. "Kids will be kids," the principal muttered, voice heavy with dismissal. "It's not a prank," Amira whispered, her throat raw. "It's hate." That night, Amira stared at the crumpled flyers. They weren't just vandalism, they were warnings. She wanted to destroy them, but something in her told her to keep them. The bullying escalated. Her cafeteria table grew emptier by the week. Friends who once sat with her drifted to safer spaces, unwilling to be targets. Only Lily remained, a shield that felt too fragile against growing hostility. Then came the group presentation. Amira had crafted visuals, slides, and research, but when the group took the stage, a classmate skipped over her part, pretending she had contributed nothing. Laughter rippled across the room. When Amira tried to speak, another member cut her off. "We've got it covered." The teacher stood silent, eyes on her notes, pretending not to notice. Amira sat down, fists clenched, nails digging into her palms. Her chest burned with humiliation. Was her silence protecting her or destroying her? That night, she cried in the shower where no one could hear. The water masked her tears, but not the ache in her chest. She wanted to quit, abandon the mural, the art, the school. But each time she pictured the faces in her mural, painted with hope. She couldn't erase them. She couldn't let cruelty win. So she kept showing up, even when laughter followed. Her in the halls. Even when whispers curled behind her back. Even when someone shoved her books to the floor and walked away laughing. But then the harassment crossed a line. One evening after art club, she found her mural, the pride of the school, smeared with black spray paint. The vibrant hands she had painted were crossed out. Across the center, one word screamed in dripping letters, "Out." Her knees buckled. The auditorium was empty, the air stung with chemicals. She stood frozen, staring at the desecration. It wasn't just her art anymore. It was her existence being rejected. By the time Lily found her, Amira was on the floor, paint-stained tears streaking her face. Lily pulled her close, whispering furious promises that this wouldn't be the end. But Amira wasn't sure she believed it. The school called it an unfortunate act of vandalism. They painted over the spray paint and moved on. No investigation, no accountability, just silence. Again. The silence felt louder than the hate itself. Words spread quickly. Some students whispered sympathy. Others muttered, "Maybe the mural didn't belong here anyway." Online, cruel comments surfaced, suggesting she was overreacting. Amira withdrew. Her once vibrant sketchbooks grew emptier. pages left blank. She walked the halls with her shoulders hunched, trying to disappear. The more she retreated, the bolder the cruelty became. One afternoon in the bathroom, she overheard two students laughing. She thinks she's so special with her art. Yeah, maybe now she'll get the message. Their laughter echoed as they left. Amira stared at her reflection in the mirror. Hollow eyes, a fractured spirit. And yet beneath the exhaustion something flickered. Defiance. She thought of her parents, who had carried their dreams into this town despite knowing they might never belong. She thought of Lily, who refused to leave her side. And she thought of herself. The girl who painted skies too big for the town's walls. The flicker grew,